And we're back. And not the result we wanted, obviously. um,
Yep.
but I think if you ask most people, I don't want to say it this way, the wrong way, because there are certain Syracuse fans that will come at me. I'm not shocked. That's the way that I'll phrase it. I'm not shocked that they lost. I'm shocked how they lost. That's how I'll phrase it. That's the nice way that I'll say it.
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
Um, we'll get into it because you were there, obviously.
Yeah.
I blame my wife. I'll say it this way because I jinxed myself and I told myself if we win, we're going. I started to do the look ahead that I criticized every other Syracuse fan for doing. Is how I'll say it. So
You planned ahead. You blew it.
listen, if it's on me, I'll own that. That's all I'm gonna say. Before we start, there's some news that happened, Matt. On the women's side, we'll touch there first. I'm gonna reach out to a couple of the people on the women's side, see if we can get a conversation with them. Obviously, to talk more about the official stuff. That's how I'll say it. I don't want to say anything unofficial.
Yep.
The official news is that Syracuse. I don't even know how to say this the right way without. Kayla took a job. Yeah, I was just gonna say because the statement from the university is kind of confusing.
Yeah,
I'll just say it that way. People can read into that with what they want.
Ultimately, Kayla's the new head coach at Penn State.
Yeah,
we have an interim coach, and we're trying to find a replacement, right?
And I believe the first thing I saw, we'll touch on it more in a couple episodes, is Olivia Adamson has entered the portal. That's the other thing from the women's side, which the easiest way I can say this, and then we'll transition into Maryland because Maryland is our expertise. I know zero about the women's game. I am very open about that.
Yeah.
Anytime a coach leaves, everybody hits the portal. It's just the way it works, and it sucks, but
yeah. And based on everything I've seen so far, there's obviously no official news or anything, but I know names that are getting tossed around when it comes to potential replacements.
Yep.
Whether it's on the boards or, with different media folks.
Yep.
Joe Spallina is one of them.
Yep.
And I know there's kind of mixed reviews on that thought process. I know some people don't like him. I personally like him. Obviously, because I like his son. And I think the fact that he's a very gonna say what he thinks and doesn't really care what people think rubs people the wrong way. And we saw that with last year with the whole his team playing here and all that stuff.
I'm gonna stop you for 2 seconds with that before you continue. Just Brian Higgins actually talked about that because I actually asked Brian Higgins about Spallina when all this happened, and he pretty much said exactly what you said is the reason why he won't get the job. And you can continue. I just wanted to stop that to just clarify that point. Which now he doesn't know anything.
Yeah,
I don't know anything. Let's be fair here.
Yeah, and I think if SU doesn't look at him because of that, I think it's a lost opportunity.
Stupid, honestly, but
I
think we can agree on that.
I mean, if you take away that situation and even the fact that he has connection to his sons playing here, he's one of the most successful coaches in a mid-major program,
right?
He's won the CAA 8 years in a row. He's been the coach of the year for their conference how many years in a row. So he's a very successful coach. He's been successful at the pro level on the men's side. He's just been successful in every area he's coached in. So I think that'd be a missed opportunity for the university, not even just to have the phone call, right? Maybe nothing comes of it, but make that phone call.
I was going to say, just have the conversation. Hey, Joe, we may not want you. Is there a name you can recommend?
Yeah.
Is there? And look, this is all speculation. I know nothing officially is all I'm going to say.
There's nothing official out yet. It seems like everything's being kept close to the chest so. And then the other couple names I've heard thrown around, Katie Rowan Thompson, who coaches at Albany, very successful alum of the women's program. And the other big one is Michelle Tumalo, also a big successful alum of the program. She coaches at Army and really turned that program around in the last 3 to 4 years ish. And same thing, they're both kind of in the same boat of Joe in that like they coach at a mid-major program. They've had a relative level of success.
Right.
So then what can they do if it's taken to the higher level with more assets, more money to put into transfers or whatever, into the program. So, and then the last name I heard, I can't remember her name, but the Yale coach, because she's from the area. She's a CBA alum.
Yep.
She's done well in the Ivy.
I'm
So
gonna look this up really quick while you're
I forget her
doing that.
name.
Pat McCabe also has another name. I know we were talking about it before. He's at Adelphi. Once again, the Adelphi, but he's an alum. That's how I'll say it. And
I heard Reggie Thorpe a couple times, but I don't think he's going to leave Florida. So,
yeah, like I said, I won't say anything official. I know things, but I won't. You and I'll send you a message about something, but
okay,
about that.
Yeah,
I'll just say it that way.
The Wild Hack's got a big hire to figure out.
Yep.
I think I mean, some people might argue about Autry, but I think overall his hiring has been like he's done a good job. I mean, look at Fran, and then this is a good transition into the men's side. Like people still want to fire Gary, but if you look at the program year over year, they've been improving every year. So
Erica Bamford, by the way.
There you go. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. That took way longer than I wanted to.
But yeah, so that's the news on the women's side. Probably over the summer, as we're kind of in the off season, we'll keep touching on that stuff as news comes out.
Yeah.
And whatnot.
I was going to say, like we were just talking about before we went on, update as much as we can. Obviously, like what we know. I'm not a message board is all I'm going to tell people. Things that I know, I will share with a certain group. I'll just phrase it that way. That's the way that I'll say it. I'm not gonna post. We've talked about it. We have our own little group. That we talk about is how I'll say it.
Yeah,
just nothing that's gonna be shared publicly. Is the way I'll phrase it for people. Like I'll just say people have a lot of sources. That's all I'm gonna. And there's a lot of people you can reach out to. I'm not giving anything away. That's not a shot at anybody, but like, just find somebody is all I'm going to say. But
so going into Saturday,
my
son and I went, which was awesome. Obviously a bummer the result, but it was a great trip. A lot of fun. So getting into the specifics of the game, I think it's a tale of two halves, right? We had a good first little mini punch with Hilt scoring, Jimmy having a couple good saves. Then we didn't capitalize on some possessions. Got behind. Johnny, I think, had one of his worst games of the season. Just from a statistical standpoint. I think he went like 45% or something like that. I think it was 9 out of 20.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I'm gonna see if I can pull up everything from my side. Keep going.
And so then we got behind, and I feel like our offense felt even a higher sense of pressure. A, because of the game it was, but then B, knowing how Maryland plays and that they're going to drain the clock. It's like, all right, well, we got to capitalize on every possible chance, and then therefore forced it more, lost the ball more, didn't capitalize, and then dug even more into a hole. Because if you look at the second half, if you take away their garbage goals, their two empty netters, we win the second half. Right? Which those in itself pissed me off, but I'll get to that later. But Jimmy had a fine game.
Go ahead.
I say Jimmy had a fine game. He had 12 saves. Like,
It's frustrating though, right? Because you get that first goal and you're like, okay, that's a punch first. That's what you want to see. And I said it in Alex's post. Get up early, make Maryland play. You can't let Maryland play the Princeton basketball is the easiest way I can like the Virginia basketball. That's a better way to phrase it. you have to make them play. And I think aside from this, and then we can go back to the bigger thing, is John Tillman is a great coach. And I think a lot of Syracuse fans also need to realize that. Like, he's a guy who gets that. That's an aside, because we'll get to that after, because that's a whole nother. Tim had a great line during the radio call at half. So, like, everything happens the first half, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, okay. He goes, Syracuse has done this before down 8-2. But this isn't Harvard. That's exactly how you, like, if you're Harvard, right? Like, when they were playing Harvard goes up and down. Yep. Okay, we can get 75 possessions, right? Or just whatever number you want to come in your head. Maryland, we know how they do it. Like, they're going to pass the ball around for 50 seconds and say, okay, we're going to kill this clock. And I'm okay with throwing it in the corner when the shot clock runs out. I'm okay with.
Yep.
And it's a great, listen, if you're winning, it's the best style of play, right? It's if you're losing, though, on the other side, you have to start counting your possessions. And then you're saying, we needed the Johnny make it, take it. And for lack of better words, that didn't happen. Let's just say it that way.
He struggled.
Yeah. The jumps got to me on the face-off. I'll just say it that way.
And I don't know why the last two games that happened so much. And I don't know if it was just, like I said, the cadence of how they were doing it, whatever else. But, like, that hadn't been a problem all season. So I don't know why it just was out of character. And maybe it was just, like, anticipation of the moment and the pressure of the moment or who knows. But.
And the running line of sleepwalking into a game fits. Because there's those passes, right? That were like, okay, come on, just stop making the easy pass. Like, make the easy pass.
Yeah. And it was weird too, because there was a couple times where, and I had a chance to talk with Joe after the game, and one of the things I said to him, I was like, it was weird because there was several times when we were watching and a player dodged and, like, had his guy beat and, like, had a decent look and just didn't shoot it.
Yeah.
And his response was like, I think the goalie was in their head because he made a couple good saves. So then they were second guessing shooting it. And it's funny because Gary alluded to it in the post game.
Mm-hmm.
Maryland played like a team who's been there before.
Yep.
And we played like a team who hasn't been there in 12 years.
Yep.
So, and, like, there's not really much as a coach or even a player you can do about that if they don't have that experience, right? Like, you can try to get them up as much as possible, but if they're in their own heads, like, you can't really do anything about that. Like, it just is what it is. So, I think it was definitely a bummer to the end of the season with how the game went. Like, I would have expected it to be like a 12-13 game or an 11-10, like a closer game. So that was a bummer. And I know of the players I've talked to, like, they're furious with how it ended because they're like, that's not how we've played all season. Like, and that's not indicative of what we're capable of, I guess I would say.
And then the question starts, is it a successful season again? Because then it's like, okay, and I'm not saying it isn't. Like, this isn't me. There's a post that you and I shared that I'm going to read. We'll just say it that way, that we'll get into. But, like, it's the way that they lost. Like, I think we all know that. Like, it's like I said, for sure. It's like, okay, like, my wife was watching it and she's like, they have no chance. She said that in the fourth quarter, the beginning of the fourth quarter, she goes, they have no chance. And I go, that's the most frustrating part right now, is knowing that. And it's not even, it's more of a credit to Maryland. I think I need to be clear with saying it that way. Like, I hate the people that are going after players. We've talked about it before.
Yep.
They know what happened. Is all I'm going to say. They know, like you said, the ones that you talk to, the ones that I've seen posts about, the ones that the sports media and Syracuse has talked to, they know what happened.
Yep. They just got outbeat.
Yeah.
And that's, as much as I hate him and hate his team, it's a testament to how good of a coach John Tillman is when he has a
Yeah.
week to prepare, right? Like and the way they play is, I think, the worst form of lacrosse. It's not fun to watch, but it's successful, particularly when it matches up against teams like Syracuse.
Yep.
Right. Like, so I mean, it is what it is, like it's on to 2026. I know all the players that are coming back, I'm sure they're already like, all right, let's get after it and start
Yeah.
working and getting better for next year. Like, I already know there's a couple players who are staying here for the summer and are training, like, to get stronger and faster and that kind of stuff. And it's not Joey, before everybody says that. No, not you.
Go there.
Everybody else, because
I was gonna say it, but I'll let you.
And so, like, these guys know that they were that close, and they want to make it to the championship game and win it all, and especially for that senior class, right? Like,
right.
Their goal was to get back to the Final Four. They got there, and now they want to take it a step farther.
Yeah.
So I know it's frustrating as fans, and especially with how well they played the past couple weekends.
Yeah.
To see it kind of like implode more or less is frustrating, but it is what it is. It happens sometimes.
It's easy to say this. I hate to say it this way. If they had played another team against Maryland, I would have been happier. And we've talked about that a million times. Like, if they had played a run and gun style, I would have been like, oh, thank goodness. Like,
yeah.
Because they played, so like the game, the way Maryland plays, they kind of played it against Duke in the ACC championship. But Maryland takes it to a whole nother level. It's not just your gas. And I think, see, like you talked about, right? The goalie being in their heads. I wanted the unselfish play then. If you're Barry Anderson and you beat the guy,
just shoot the damn ball.
I'll shoot you. I'll take you shooting a shot 10 times. I don't care.
A shot is better than no shot, right?
Yeah,
because there's still a chance for it to go in. So, but I mean, you look at him. You look at, like, I think Tyler McCarthy did it a couple times. Those are both young guys, right?
Right.
That have never played at that. And honestly, all these guys, none of them have played at that level of a game, right?
Right.
And I know the talk is going to be, oh, Joey didn't show up in the biggest moment. But let's look at the other semifinal game that weekend.
Yeah. Well, that's
the best player in the country.
Yeah.
The best player in the country.
Yeah. And
the guy who's going to win the Twerton tonight.
Yeah.
Was the tournament MVP, all this stuff. Goose egg against Penn State.
Yeah.
And no one's talking about that.
Nobody cares. That's the worst. You know what it is? And I heard it because listening at home is different. Like, we talked about it, we joked about it. Listening at home is different than being there. I heard he was a great teammate. He was setting them up. He was doing all this.
Yep. He couldn't beat his man or whatever else. Yeah.
You know what the worst part is? Even if Cornell loses, right? Obviously they won. Everybody knows they won everything. Yep. If they somehow lose that narrative is still the same. He's a great teammate. It's going to sound. If Joey was wearing another number than 22, I don't think the narrative would be as bad. And that's not a criticism of Joey. It's just the way people.
No, it's what people put on that number, like it's, so technically Joey had more points than CJ. If you were to tell me before the semifinals, oh, Joey's going to have more points than CJ Kirst, I would expect us to be playing Cornell in the championship. So it is what it is, but he knows that, he knows the kind of pressure. And he feeds off of it.
Yeah.
So it's
just for all the jokes. Matt just got off a phone call with him and they had a discussion about what Matt could say, what Matt couldn't say. The NIL deals are coming in for Matt. from Joey. Let's just say it that
you're
way.
Gonna say this stuff, but there's gonna be one person who takes you seriously and thinks I'm actually on the phone.
I know, but that's the best part. Like, because in all seriousness, I want people to understand this. Matt talks to him, but doesn't talk like that. That's how I'll say. Is that fair? Can we say that? Is that okay? Like,
yeah.
Are you gonna get upset with me that somebody contacts you and says, "Hey, I need Joey's phone number. I need his dad's."
Yeah, I do not have their phone numbers. I do not have their phone numbers or addresses. But yeah, I mean, looking at the season as a whole, like, I would say it's a successful season. The expectations going into the season were Final Four, right?
Yep.
They made it there. It was a roller coaster of a season. They lost some games, and it's funny because I don't know if it was Tim or someone this week was on Q Sports Talk. I don't know if it was Tim or if it was on Brian's show talking with Anish, but like,
I think it was Brian had Anish on.
Yeah, but you look at you look at that 3-game skid they had towards the end of the season.
Yep.
And if you look at it critically, we had a lot of health issues, right? Yeah. Hilt was not at 100%. Finn wasn't in.
Right.
Rowe was injured a little bit at some point. Leo wasn't 100%. So, like, you have to take that skid with a grain of salt, right? And even then, like, I would say it's a successful season. Did we win a championship? No. But this team has continued to build every year and get better and better. And now, we can expect maybe a level higher next year. Right. You look at the stats. Joey finishes with 90 points. Right. So, like, I think it's only the third or fourth time in program history someone's gotten to 90 points.
Right.
Hilt with a quiet 73 points, which is insane because obviously the conversation all the time is around Joey because he's 22 and all that stuff. Leo almost hits 50 points. English hits 40. Roa and Finn are at 30, which is crazy because Finn only played 13 games.
Right.
And he got 30 points. Deer, 20 points. Anderson, almost 20 points. So Johnny finished at 63% on the faceoffs.
You know what? While you're looking that up, you know what's funny about all those names that you just mentioned?
Other than Hilt and English, they're coming back.
I was just going to say 90% of them are coming back. So, like,
McCool finished with a 53% save percentage.
Yeah. A first-year goalie. Let's just be fair to him. Like, this is I was leading the charge to change it. I was wrong. I was wrong about Jimmy the whole year. I'll just say it that way. Like, this goes to that post. I don't know if we want to talk about that, Matt, or if we want to go somewhere else. Because the one that you and I shared, that you shared with me.
Which one was it again? Read it off. We'll get into it.
Okay. I would like to see a head coach that shows emotion and communicates with his players on the sideline, not have a front row seat to watch a game with his hands in his pockets and a blank stare. Before we get into that, somebody also said, but Roy Jr. can motivate, comparing the two coaches. I hate this fan base so much. I do, and that's going to get taken the wrong way. I hate the loud majority is what I'll say.
Yep.
Because what I can tell you this as somebody who's watched it, who's played it, who kind of coached a little bit on the modified, there is nothing he can do mid-game
to make them play better.
Yeah. At halftime, fine. Look what happened at halftime, though, right? Like, he made the adjustments. Okay, where's that? We're not talking about that.
Yep.
Was that Oderna? That's the whole staff. Like, I think that, like,
and it doesn't matter who made the adjustment. The staff made the adjustment, right? Like, it doesn't have to be Gary every time.
Right.
And he's just not an emotional guy. He's like the calm, right?
Yeah.
And then you have Oderna and March, who are like the vocal, emotional guys. You can't have all one or all the other because then it is not successful. Like, when I look at when I coached, our head coach was the same way, calm, chill, and then our assistants were the more vocal guys, right? Like, and some coaches are that way, and that's how Gary's always been. He's always just like, "Oh, we're ready to go. Like, this is it. We're we're going to win. He's always confident. Like, he's never screaming. Like, and there's nothing wrong with that. He doesn't have to be the coach that's screaming in players' faces. And honestly, nowadays, that's not a successful way to coach with how kids are these days.
Nope.
You can't scream and get in their faces. It might work for a small majority, but most coaches, it's not going to work, and you're going to lose players.
I was going to say, those kids will transfer out in 2 seconds. I hate to say it that way. Like,
and if you look, this core group has stayed.
Yeah.
Right?
So clearly there's something.
2 years ago when they went 7-6 as freshmen, they could have all decided to leave.
Yeah.
But they all stayed because they wanted to play for him.
Right.
Right? Like,
it's just wild to me because this is why I compare, like, I joke about the Maryland fan base, right? They're okay with John Tillman getting to the title game. I'm not even talking about his record.
Yep.
Because that's a whole different story when you look at his record comparatively. I'm not. That's not a criticism. That's
always a bridesmaid. What? Who said that?
Listen, Matt said that, not me. Everybody remember that for when the Twitter Maryland trolls, go get Matt.
All love, Googs. It's all love.
It's not Googs that I'd be worried about. Is all I'm gonna say.
It's 2-hand scoop.
Yeah. But like even they see it. Googs said it after the game. Like,
yeah,
they see it more than Syracuse fans see it, which is sad. Like they're like, oh, I hope Gary does good.
Well, it's funny because a lot, like, the reasonable fans of other teams, all have the same attitude that lacrosse is better when Syracuse is successful.
Yeah.
So I don't know why we as our own fan base can't get behind that too.
Right.
Like, we got to find something wrong because it's not 22 Final Fours in a row. So everything's gone to hell. Like, imagine if 4 years in, they fired Simmons Jr. because he didn't make it.
Yeah.
Like,
or Desco. We can play this game with every Syracuse coach that people want to play the game with.
And honestly, nowadays, this happens at every level of coaching, and it comes from the fact that we are a society now of instant gratification because of our phones in our pockets and constant news cycle and social media and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So if things aren't instantly good like that, people want nothing to do with it.
Right.
And they want to move on to something else, and they just want to Band-Aid it. Right. Like, so that's where a lot of this comes from.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's so infuriating because you got to give it time. Right. And he's improved every year. His staff and his team has improved every year.
So,
I mean, you got a defensive coordinator who's coaching in the PLL, right?
Yeah. And
like, you
probably
got
an offensive coordinator probably should be coaching if we're going to be fair. That's a different. Like, you can go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good. It's just like all these things are happening that are showing improvement, right?
Yep.
He's got some great freshmen that are coming in next year.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some work to do in the portal. There's different discussions on that, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, some of the younger guys have showed improvement. So then hopefully they step up into bigger roles, right? Whether it is a Hoddle, a McCarthy, Peyton and Trey, like, you know, some of the guys who were long sticks that went down to D mid, maybe they step up a little bit. Like, there's all these pieces that are molding and forming into place, but you can't expect it to be just instant success overnight. It doesn't happen.
Yeah, and I think if all things are equal, right? So, like, you talked about 7-6. If there's nothing else and they miss the playoffs for 3 years in a row, fine. I'll have that conversation then. We can have that, like, if there's no improvement. If everybody talks about it, if they lost in the first round this year to Harvard, we all know what would it would have just been nuts. Yeah. And the seat would have gotten a little hotter, which I'm okay with if that's the conversation, right? Where it's like, okay, you talked about the progression.
Yep.
It's not there. Okay, fine. But there are guys who are redshirting this year that are going to be better. Let's just, from things that I hear, there is a legacy kid on the sidelines that was redshirting all year. I'll just phrase it that way. So,
Okay.
Yep, that I heard was doing very well in practice. I'll just say it that way. So,
well, and like that's the thing. Like I know you see a lot on the message boards of Trey should be playing every minute ever. Like he's an amazing player, but he's not going to beat out Hiltz right now.
No,
it's just not going to happen. You're not going to replace the senior second best guy on the team with a sophomore who has barely had any game experience.
Right.
He's an amazing player, but he's also not an outside shooter, and Hiltz can shoot outside. You got to have some of that presence in there.
But like, also look at somebody like Anderson, right? We all wanted him at the attack, myself included. Once again, I hate to do this. This is going to give you your glorification. I was wrong. He should have been at the midfield the whole year. Like seeing that, Gary made and we talked about it with Fox the last episode. The ability to move him from attack to midfield and say, go do that.
Yep.
You're going to be our best midi on the second line. Let's just, for argument's sake, let's just say it that way. That doesn't happen. And finding Trey Deer a spot on man up where he still gets all his shots, like, and he gets
some
more
critical goals,
and he gets more of an opportunity to play because he's the odd man out. Like you
said, thing with Jeb, like he had some critical goals in some games, right?
It's like, crazy because like I had to tell my dad who Jeb was on senior day but he watches, but like he's like, we're going through, okay, that guy doesn't play. Okay, that guy, you know what I mean? Like that guy doesn't. He's like that. The kid was playing. I go, oh no, he's on the man up. I go, you just got to watch. And my dad goes, oh,
yeah.
But like, there's going to be the rotating pieces, right? So Jeb's gone, and then you're like, okay, maybe a Bucktooth fills in, maybe,
and and that's one of those things where that's a balance on Gary and his staff to figure out, okay, who are the pieces that we need to make sure get some kind of time,
right,
to keep them here, right? Because it's a balance. Because at any point, anybody can leave if they don't like their situation, right? You know, so it's you're going to be next in line, but you got to put in your time. And so far, it seems like Gary has done a good job of like retaining that and like working on that with players, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's, people want to be critical of a lot of things, but I think overall they've done a successful job, and people probably hear what I have to say and think I'm ahead in the clouds, think everything's positive all the time.
I'm not going to,
and I lean more that way. 100%. I get that, but I also am more optimistic person. So
you want to know a good thing to go off of, and I'm pulling this up because this was actually sent to me by somebody who is a fan of yours and mine, actually, which is saying something. Usually they're a fan of one.
Like both of us?
Yeah. I'll just say K. That starts with a K. I think you can figure it out from there. The total viewership for Syracuse Princeton. People want to talk about numbers. I think you saw this.
It was 109,000. And the next highest was 80.
Yeah, so like people want to like. It's back, and when Syracuse is there, people invest. That's the way that I'll say it. Like, but we can't.
It's like Syracuse is like the Yankees when it comes to baseball.
Nope. Because I dislike the Yankees with a passion, and I will never dislike Syracuse. I know what you're saying, though. I know where you're going.
In terms of if you don't. You either love them or hate them.
Yeah.
Right? And they're the ones who won a long time ago, so people don't like them because of that.
I'll just say Matt was fed that line by Joey. I have the group text pulled up where he was.
And I would agree with you. I hate the Yankees. I absolutely hate the Yankees. I was a Mets fan as a kid. Like, I hate the Yankees. But it's a great comparison.
Yeah, it's the right way to say it. You're either a Yankees fan or you're not. Like, that's...
And the same thing with like Alabama football, right? Like it's the same concept of a team that's won a lot, or the Patriots in football. You either hate them or you love them because they had a lot of success at one point, and because of that, people don't like them,
right?
Because they were the team that beat up on your team years and years ago.
I'll also just say I just read this, but that same person messaged me and said our podcast has an impact. I just want to point that out. So he sent me 17 paragraphs the other day, and then 5 minutes later goes, "I've had too much coffee."
So finishing up championship weekend.
Yep.
The Adelphi Tampa game was probably the best game of the whole weekend. I feel so bad for that Tampa coach.
Yeah, I was just gonna.
That poor man.
I totally listen. If the Syracuse message boards are like they are after this, I can only imagine what the Tampa message boards are like after.
Yeah,
that's such a freak play. Like that's
such
a.
You feel bad for that coach.
Yeah.
Tufts is really good at lacrosse.
Yeah,
that's another takeaway.
Yeah,
they could probably beat the bottom third of Division I.
Mm-hmm.
And then the championship game. We went to the first half of the championship game on Monday. We were surrounded by Maryland fans. I will give them credit. A bunch of them were kind of drunk college age guys. They were all super nice to us.
There is an asterisk. I was just gonna say there is an asterisk for that. You did have an 8-year-old. Let's just.
Yep. And I was sporting my Cuse gear because no matter what, I rep the Cuse. And I was so happy to see Maryland lose, even though their fans were nice to us. And
Goose, get him! I'm not stopping you. Go get him.
And particularly, it was you saw what happened where Cornell got a little bit ahead, and then Maryland imploded because they had to rush.
Yep.
And not play their style, and that's where if only we could have gotten ahead a little bit in the beginning of our game. Super happy for CJ Kirst and the Kirst family.
Yep.
I don't dislike Cornell as much as you do, Dan. I don't like them when we play.
Okay, you know what though? It's not that I dislike Cornell. It's their fans.
That's fair enough.
That's there's been a lot of bad interactions. Is all I'm gonna say.
Still a degree of happiness that a championship is in upstate New York. I love that. And like I said, the Kirst family is an easy one to root for. That's been said by every media person since Monday and whatever. The storyline of them growing up without their dad and all that kind of stuff. And Cole being here, you could tell he was such a good kid, and so nice. And it seems like all the brothers are like that. The most dominant lacrosse family in recent history. The fact that 4 of them are going to be in the PLL and probably Caden will end up there after he's done at Rutgers, is insane.
It's wild because you don't realize how good they are. And I'm not even saying that in a bad way. The other brothers. That's the way that I'll say it.
Because CJ's done so well that it makes the other ones not look as good. But the fact that there's 8 teams in the PLL, and there's 160 PLL players that play, and 4 of them are from one family is insane. That's not happening.
I'm going to compare one family to them, and their family, the Kavanaughs. As much as we hate Notre Dame, it's still an amazing feat to get your kids out of the PLL. It's how I'll phrase it.
But so congrats to Cornell.
Yeah.
I know that's a big kind of.
I heard there was a little. I was going to say I heard there was a little Cicero nod in the TV broadcast as well.
Oh, that was I was listening to it because we were driving home, so I had it
or radio or whatever. However,
Anish crushed it at the end of the game with that call.
Okay.
He started talking about Greek mythology, and he goes, he said, what did he say? He said, when you look at upstate New York, Homer, Cicero, Manlius, Ithaca, and then he talks about the story of Ithaca and the Greek mythology background behind it. It was so brilliant and smooth, and he did such a good job. I'm literally getting goosebumps thinking about it right now. He did such a good job. So that was really cool.
I can say for the people that are going to listen, he's getting tears in his eyes right now.
Oh my God, no, I'm not. You're such a turd. But so happy for Cornell.
I think
my thought process was if it wasn't Syracuse, anybody but Maryland, right?
Yep.
Like that was my thought process going into it. So, and they honored the 2000 team at halftime.
So you said you stayed for the first half and you left at halftime?
We left before they did that, which I forgot they were doing that. So I was bummed that I missed that.
Because I think the way the videos I saw, I think there were players specifically named.
Oh, cool.
Nice. I don't know if I saw a Robbie Mulligan story where the camera was on him and then it was on somebody. I don't know. Like I said, I didn't watch it. So I'm going to have to go back and watch it now and see if there's something.
Yeah.
It's you like to cap it off with that. If you had Syracuse there, that would have been electric to have the 2000 theme there. And yeah. I don't know where my brain just went on that thought. That's how my brain it. It's all Matt's fault. I blame Matt. We're going to dive more into this at some point. Is the next step to win the Final Four?
I mean, I would think so.
Yeah.
To cap off, the senior class.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be their expectation maybe going into the season, but I know that Gary will try to get away from pressure and expectation so they don't end up, getting too into their own heads. That whole mentality of just one day at a time seemed to really work well for the guys. And I'm sure he will continue to build upon that.
Yeah. And I just thought there's something that just triggered my brain with that. It was nice to hear Gary say the media pressure got to us. I'll just say it that way. It was nice to hear the admittance of that because the whole year we had heard it didn't. We kept it in house. And obviously, like speaking as this, I know it didn't. I can tell you that because even when you think it doesn't get in house, it gets in house. I'll just say it that way. But it was nice to hear them talk about that. Like, the local media, the national media was talking about us, so our heads exploded. Essentially, Go ahead with your PLL stuff. I know.
Well, I was gonna talk about already kind of looking ahead to 2026 first.
Boy, here he goes.
So, I think there's definitely some things that Gary needs to potentially and staff needs to look at in the portal. For sure. I think the biggest one being either Drew Angelo needs to develop or we need to have a legitimate backup. To Johnny, so that we have a counterpunch when Johnny jumps or is struggling against a couple people. Right. Like looking ahead to North Carolina next year, like Wambach is arguably the best face-off guy in the country. Johnny right behind him, but Johnny struggled against him this year. So you got to have some kind of counterpunch. There's some good face-off guys in the portal. Can we bring one of those guys in to be a backup who maybe only has a year left and wants to be at a better program and have a chance to win a championship? Maybe. Right. I think people would argue short stick D mid needs some work too.
So I'm gonna push back on that. That's the word. So if there's a caveat to this though. I think I don't want to butcher the name. I'm looking this up.
Nate Levine, is that what you're gonna say?
Nope. I don't want to butcher the last name. Bolanino?
Yeah, close enough. I don't know exactly how you say it, but yeah.
Because he played short towards the end and he was a pole for a little bit.
Yep.
If he and Splina develop, that problem may go away, is how I'll say it. Or it won't be as much of a need. It's still a need, obviously. It won't be as much. I'll just say it that way.
Yeah. And from what I'm hearing, and I don't have a direct source to know, but from what I'm hearing, Levine is planning on staying.
Okay. Matt's breaking news. I just want to point that out. Matt's got the sources. I have nobody. Nobody talks to me. No coach talks to me. They all hate me.
Like I said, so I haven't heard it directly. Like I haven't talked to Nate. Like I don't know him. I don't. But from the rumors I'm hearing is that he's staying, but he will miss all of fall ball,
which is huge.
Yep. Like to have him as the one, and then Ryder and Jake be second.
Yep.
And then whether they keep Bolanino down. But then the other thing is we got the top short stick D mid coming in from the freshman class.
Yep.
In Kittleberger. And from everything I hear, he's a big guy. He's a beast. Like, so can he fit into that rotation?
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
I was going to say, I don't know if you want him to be the number one. We'll talk about this.
No, I don't. And I don't think he will be. Like, I think he'll be, 2, 3, 4 in that range. Like,
right.
And that, like, Cornell showed that position needs to be done by committee.
Yeah.
Right? Because they run like 6 guys.
Yeah. Well, they keep them all fresh, right? Because the easy way to criticize it is, yes, Carter Rice was great, and this is going to sound like I'm criticizing him. He was worn down by the end of the year. Like I think that's fair to, and Ryder to an extent, because when Levine goes down, now Ryder is your number 2. And that's not a criticism of Ryder. He's actually played really well the whole year, to be honest. But I mean, go ahead.
I think they're, with how this season went, I think they're priming McCarthy to be a Sam English kind of player, where he can be both ends of the field. So you throw him into the mix there. Like now you've got 5 or 6 guys that can be in that role.
Right.
And so, but I mean, people think we need more short stick D mid help. Maybe we try to get a midfielder. I mean, attack. It doesn't make sense to go after an attack because we've got.
No, I'm looking through I have it sorted by position.
I've got the post from the forums up of like the potential roster for next year too.
Yeah.
And it has like who's coming back. I mean, you've got Joey, Finn, Trey, Peyton, like
Brett Bucktooth.
Like I mean, I would assume that Bucktooth is going to maybe fill into like a Jeb I
would assume so.
Trey role.
Now, once again, I have to clarify, just like you, I know absolutely nothing officially.
Yeah, this is all speculation. It's 100% speculation.
I think you're going to see Peyton move to the midfield. I think that's going to be that full-time thing. I genuinely hope, right? So here's the look away at. I want obviously Leo and Roa on the first line. If I'm step back looking at it right now, right? This isn't like everything goes good. Leo, Roa, Anderson is my first line.
Okay.
But midfield, obviously. And then McCarthy as a Sam English type on the second line, because then you're not burning him every time. And once again, I have to say it, 'cause I know nothing. I haven't talked to anybody. I haven't.
I would personally, like, if I was the head coach, I'd run.
I'm clipping this part.
I'd run Joey on the right, Peyton on the left, and Trey in the middle.
Okay.
Or like run Peyton behind. So Peyton behind, Joey on the right, Trey on the left, and then it kind of your setup will rotate in that Trey ends up on the crease, and then maybe Leo is more down on the left side with how your formation is.
You're odd man out though. You're talking about attack, right?
Attack, yeah. So you go Trey, Joey, and Peyton.
What about Finn?
You move Finn back up to midfield.
Okay. All right. I'm okay with that. Like if one of them has to be on the midfield, let's just say it that way. Like,
and only because then it forces you to keep like it. You're going to have a pull on
that's
Joey and Bear.
or
Yeah.
whoever's down there,
Yeah.
essentially.
Because they might say, okay, Trey's on the crease, we're just going to lock him with a short stick, right?
Right.
And double pull the midfield.
Yeah.
You can't have Finn and Trey down there because I think they both try to get shorties, and then you got a triple pole on the midfield.
Yeah, and then you're like, okay, Leo, get behind that
yeah.
pole every time. Then Matt's cousin, Matt, somebody like Shaler from Maryland.
Oh my god!
Just saying, it's ironic. It's ironic that he matched up against Joey. Just gonna say it that way.
God, I hate that so much. Looking ahead to
a
couple of our big freshmen coming in recruit wise. Ted Rawson, the kid from Lawrenceville, who's a tackler midi. He's a smaller guy, but he's Canadian. He's fast. And then Bo Gahan is like the big guy. Yep. I forget where he played.
He's crap. I can't think of who.
I said Lawrenceville. Now I can't think of the school that he's at. It's another big school. Look it up while I talk.
I have messages with people that
I forget. It's another big program. Is it McDonough?
I'm looking this up.
It's another program.
You know what, Matt? Why don't you try and vamp for 10 minutes?
Okay.
See how much fun it is.
But you look at guys like Tucker Kellogg potentially, Krishawn Hunter, Matt McEntee, who is a freshman who redshirted. Like all guys you maybe want to see make a step up to be fighting for that second line, because you got to assume Hoddle will be on the second line. It is McDonough? Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So,
a big name program. And you expect them to be in the mix for that second line and into the third line. And then, looking at our defense, we return our top two in Riley and Dwan. So then it's to figure out, okay, who's that third spot? Is that going to be Donnie Scott finally? Is he going to finally crack the lineup? He's another Canadian guy, played with Joey up in Orangeville. Jordan Beck did a great job down low on the man down.
Yep.
He's a tall, lanky guy. Does he fill in that role that Grace filled in the middle next year? You got Joe Filardi, who is playing football, then also going to play lacrosse too. He's a D/LSM. Does he fill in somewhere? Our LSM, you got to assume Chuck Kaczynski is going to be our number one LSM.
I would assume so, but there's weird things that can happen.
Yeah, right? But then
Bolognino, if he's up there, he played pole for most of the year.
Yep. Well, you got to assume maybe Sagiter gets some run too, because he was kind of like the third LSM.
Yeah.
So does he now replace Kikemo? But they're all guys who played relatively well, right? Like
I was gonna say, Matt knows. Matt has texted Gary personally and knows what the lineup is going to be already.
He already sent it to me. So
it's crazy. Yeah.
So do we lose some big guys? Sure. But they're not guys who can't be replaced in one way or another, right? Like, it's not 8 out of the 9 guys, right? Like, after next year is going to be a whole nother story of like who really steps up.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
But
we can have that discussion.
But yeah, so Tim was on with Infante and God, who's the guy that's on with him?
I can't. Paulie. I'll just say Paulie.
Paulie, yeah. Paulie and
just for the sake of name.
Saying that like there's no reason why they're not a top 3 or 4 preseason team. They return a lot of people. You look at some of the other schools that we play regularly. The only school that is really the only other schools that are really looking good, looking ahead to next year right now, Maryland, because they're getting in those 2 big Yale guys, and they still have Erickson and Spanos, which is fucking ridiculous. But then Princeton only loses Mackesy, and then who was the other one? UNC. But like, Notre Dame lost
UNC,
a lot.
I was going to say UNC is going to be.
Notre Dame lost their whole starting attack line. Duke They lose McAdory, but I think that's it. But I mean, and what's his name? The Maryland transfer, Maliver, he graduated. But there's their top two production. And then
Right.
um, Virginia is a dumpster fire. There's rumors that everybody and their mother's leaving, but they're not leaving. So who knows what's going on there?
Yeah, I was gonna say that from what we know, everybody is staying.
Yeah.
That's how I'll say it. I think that's
Yeah.
a fair way to say it. Millen's dad has come out and said, "My kid is not going anywhere."
Yep.
I'll just say there's some stuff behind that. That's not,
so ultimately to wrap up this all into a nice little bow. Certainly a successful season, a disappointing way it ended, but a lot to look forward to next year. I cannot wait till February again. I was saying to Alex the other day when we were kind of discussing via text kind of the end of the season, and I was saying how like I hate this time of year because it's such like a release of emotions and like, oh, now what do I do? Like, and thank God there's the PLL, so at least there's some lacrosse to watch. But like, I told the quote I said to Alex is whenever in college I had to do icebreakers because I worked in residence life for a long time. And the question was, what's your favorite season? I would say lacrosse season.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say autumn, fall, winter, whatever. Lacrosse season. February to May is my favorite.
Right.
So, there's lots to look forward to next year. Interesting to see how this off season progresses and what happens, and
possibly some movement on the coaching front. I'll just say that. So we can do this another time. This is the whole thing. I think O'Derna is going to get offered a head coaching job. Is what I'll say. And I'm not. Once again, this is nothing.
Yeah, it's just what you think.
I think he earned himself a head coaching job. That's the way that I'll phrase it.
See, I would agree with you, but I don't think there's a position that would warrant him to leave that's open.
I don't disagree with that. I'm just saying some school is going to come and say,
"Yep,
here's $2 million." You see, that's an insane number, and that's the wrong number, and I know that.
Yeah.
Here's $2 million. We have no facilities, but we want you to be our head coach. I hate to make that joke, but like, there's going to be some school out of nowhere that offers him. I'll just say it that way. And once again, this is nothing I've heard. This is not on the message boards. This is.
I think that'll happen at some point. Yeah. I don't think it'll happen this offseason because there's not a job that would warrant it.
Okay.
Even if the pay is good, like he could go back to another Manhattan, but then he's right back to where he was. Like if he's gonna leave, it's gonna be for an Ivy, a Big Ten, or an ACC, right?
Right.
So, and there's none of those positions open to do that. At least for but if one of those positions opened, I would bet that he's one of the coaches that gets a call, right?
Right.
Who knows with what he wants to do? Like maybe he likes the idea of like I just have to focus on the defense, and then I can have this extra job with the Cannons in the off season.
Yeah,
like so that I can keep doing that kind of stuff and get a chance to coach pro guys too. Like, who knows?
Right.
But
I think to touch on that, and then we'll go to Matt's PLL segment because he's been itching. I think to dispel the Spallina not coming to Syracuse rumor, O'Derna has done it with his family that lives in Manhattan. Still, is all I'm going to tell people. And they can make it work if they want to. Is what I'm going to say. And that's nothing that I've heard, nothing that you've heard. I know we joke about things, but I'm just telling you for the people that think that he won't move. If a coach wants a job bad enough, they'll move. Is how I'll say it.
Yeah. Or he'll live up here during the season, right? Like that's what O'Derna does, right? Like so, and at that point now they only have their youngest daughter in school, so Mama Spallina only has to manage one kid. Well, right? Like,
at home,
I know, you know what I'm saying? Like it's it's a lot less to manage as a parent by yourself if it's one kid that you have to get to practices and that other stuff as opposed to two.
Here's the other thing I'll say to that though, and this is going to get people stirred up, and I'm doing this on purpose. Joe gets hired. Now we get a Clemson commit. Now things might change, is all I'm going to say. Now that's nothing. I'm saying that to completely get people off the track, but like
I would love nothing more than for Joe to get the job and then Alexa flip back to her.
Yeah,
that would be wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it I don't know what I was gonna say. I lost my train of thought. Anyways,
go to your PLL minute. Let's hear who got cut. Let's hear who got.
Now that we're in the summer and we probably won't be. Oh, Dan, I haven't fully discussed this yet, but we're not going to have enough to talk about weekly to probably do weekly.
Probably monthly. I'll just say.
Yeah,
but on all honesty,
one of the things that we'll feature throughout the off season, and particularly during the PLL season, is highlighting the Syracuse guys and what they're doing and how they're doing. And so, so far with preseason camp and that kind of stuff. First of all, we had 4 guys drafted. We've already discussed that. But the cool thing was, and I saw a tweet today that said that with those 4 draft picks, we've now taken the lead back from Maryland in terms of number of total draft picks by a specific school in professional lacrosse.
Take that, Goose.
Yep. So we're ahead of Maryland by 1. We have 76 total to their 75. And you assume we're just going to widen that gap next year with the draft picks we're going to have next year. But anyways, so we've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 guys. 8. We have 8 guys on rosters currently. Brett Kennedy and Drake Porter were on the Atlas roster and got cut. They did the cuts this week. So looking at this week's games, it's Friday night, Saturday night. So any folks who want to watch some lacrosse, I'm pretty sure they're all on ESPN Plus if you have ESPN Plus. And
it's only a couple hours away. I'll also just say it's worth the trip for Syracuse people. I've done it.
It's a lot of fun. We went last year. For us, it was either Final Four or PLL. We weren't doing both, so Cuse got the trump, of course. But the 6:00 game on Friday night is Chaos versus Atlas. The Chaos would have Hilts, but they run into this every year with the rookies that are from Canada. There's a little bit of process of getting their visas situated so they can play professional. So Hilts won't be playing this week, unfortunately. Same thing with Grace on the Atlas side. Hilts is rocking 77 again. I got all their numbers. I was
going to say, I saw the post today that had their, maybe it was from a couple days ago, but I saw it today.
So Grace is going to rock number 20 for the Atlas when he's able to play in the next couple weeks.
Yep.
Will Mark is going to be the backup to Liam Entenmann, it looks like. And he's rocking number 88, which talk about a goalie dynamic duo right there. The 2 best goalies from last year.
Yeah. And I'll just say the videos that I saw from Entenmann at camp. Woo!
He's so good, dude. He should have won the Torrent last year. I'm not going to get on that tirade.
No, we're not doing that. We're
not doing that. As Dan would say, don't do that. Don't do that.
No,
that's my favorite Dan quote.
We don't have time. We don't have time for that. No offense.
And then Jake Stevens is on the Atlas too, number 14. In the 8:30 time slot, you have the Redwoods playing the Outlaws, and on the Redwoods you've got Cole Kirst, who rocks number 47. Carter Rice was already at training camp and doing well. He's number 3, and then Sam English is in the same boat as Hilt and Grace, and that he'll be able to start back up soon. He's rocking number 10, which was interesting for both Grace and English. Their numbers that they had at Cuse were available, and they didn't choose those. So I don't know. I would love to know the reason why they chose the numbers they chose. But anyways,
I'm sure Matt. I'm sure you've already DM'd both of them, so I'm sure we'll get an answer next week or whenever.
Also of note, Joe Spalina is the GM of the Redwoods, too. And then Saturday, the 1:00 game is the Whip Snakes versus the Archers. Dordovic is on the Whip Snakes, but he's still recovering from his jaw injury from last year, which was horrific. I don't know if you saw that. That was insane. He's number 2, and then the 7 p.m. game on Saturday, which will probably be one of the best games of the weekend, to be honest, is Atlas versus Cannons. And like I said before, at Grace,
Right.
Will Mark and Jake Stevens are on that team. So anybody who is a Cuse fan who's just looking for stuff to watch, highly recommend it. The PLL is a fun product to watch. It's very fast because they have a shorter shot clock. And if you're a fantasy person, you download their app, you can do fantasy, and it's fun because it's a weekly where like you get 200 points and each player is assigned a certain amount of points they're worth, and you have to take 200 points and make a weekly roster. It's a fun thing to do. I do it
sponsored by DraftKings this week.
Yeah. So it's a fun little thing to do. And so, yeah, highly recommend it if you're a lacrosse rat like myself and just like watching lacrosse. It's fun to watch. So
I will also say those games will probably be on demand for the people that may miss them. As I so often do, I'll go back and rewatch.
Yep, they have the replays on ESPN Plus.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, do you want to get into your shoulder pad thing? Do we want to do this?
No, we can.
You can. No, go ahead. I'll give you your high horse for this one. This is. We can briefly. You know what? 5 minutes to talk about this. That's my cutoff.
So,
go ahead.
Hoagie, James Hogan from the Mitch Pelkey podcast, tweeted shoulder pads making a comeback in the PLL ? And it was like a video highlight, and a couple players had shoulder pads on. And I tweeted particularly because I'm a parent of a youth lacrosse player and coach the youth level. And I said, hot take, PLL players are setting a bad example for kids by not wearing shoulder pads. We don't need a DeMar Hamlin or another George Boyardi. You'll look really cool when you're lying dead on the field without shoulder pads on. Hashtag real talk.
I am setting you up for this clip to be sent out. That's why I'm doing this. So,
which it was a very harsh take, but I feel very strongly in general about how lacrosse players treat equipment. Whether it's not fucking buckling your helmet and wearing it right or tight so it doesn't come flying off.
Now you're coming after me. Because when I played, I didn't. Now, I will say this was during warm-ups, to be fair. Yeah. I did not buckle my helmet at all. Is all I'm doing.
That's funny.
Go ahead.
But I have since learned that like they wear like shirts that have like the chest piece in it, and they have to, which is cool. Like it's good. That's a good thing that they're being protected. But ultimately, the point I was getting at with my post was like whether they have that or not, people don't know that, right? So it just looks like they're not wearing anything, and there's already this narrative in lacrosse that it's not cool to wear your equipment, whether it's a mouth guard, whether it's a cup, whether it's your helmet on tightly or strapped the right way. You know, the amount of guys who in my pickup don't wear shoulder pads or any type of chest protection at all. And it just, it drives me nuts because we're just, and granted, in every type of youth program, kids have to wear them every youth game, whatever. But like, regardless, you're making it normal to not wear your stuff the right way or wear the things you're supposed to, because they see the adults do it and they think, okay, well then at some point when I'm told I don't have to do it, I'm not going to do it anymore. You know, whether that's when they're, you know, at high school age and they're playing a pickup game or whatever else it is, like there's still that risk there. And like, I know people are, you know, going in on me on this and calling me all sorts of names and mean things and whatever else. But like, well, there's this, it feeds into this whole thing that I don't like. The one thing I don't like about lacrosse, and it's like this cool lax bro culture thing that I can't stand, where we're too cool or it's just about swagger or like all this kind of stuff. And like, it completely takes away from like what the whole original point of the game was anyways.
Right.
You know, so it irks me to no end. And I will keep saying it. And if that makes me a fuddy-duddy, then I'll be a fuddy-duddy because whatever. I strap my helmet on tight and wear it the right way because I'm not trying to have my head knocked off or have my teeth knocked out of my face.
That's
I'm already ugly enough as it is. So
that's what I was, not the ugly part. That's not what I was going to say to you. But like, there are people who have literally passed away because of certain things. Let's just without going into too many details, because I know it's a trigger warning for some people. There have been people that have passed away from injuries from lacrosse. So we don't need any more from some, I'll just say, high school age kid not wearing protective gear is what I'll say.
Yep. Well, and like, because there's this like culture of like, oh, I don't have to fully strap my helmet or wear it the right way. Like,
yeah.
Then if the refs enforce it, then they're like the bad guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then sometimes they maybe don't enforce it, right? They don't tell the kid to put his mouth guard back
Right.
in or whatever else. Like,
well,
I mean, look at the kid at the Ohio State game. Was it in the Big Ten championship where he got hit and his teeth went through his lip? Like, you're wearing a mouth guard there. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and granted, he ended up being fine. I'm sure he's whatever. He got his teeth fixed, whatever else. But like, you know, it's really cool until you don't have your two front teeth anymore.
Yeah,
like,
and then I think we were kind of talking about this before. I'm setting you up for this one. I'm setting your tee up. But when your son sees that, then it becomes, okay, Dad, why do I have to wear my helmet this way if I see Cole Kurse? Let's just phrase that's not that's not anything like that. Trust me, he's
You're
not
just picking a name.
Yeah, like
Yep.
But like something like that. Right.
Yep. Well, yeah, and people say, well, it's your responsibility as the parent to enforce the thing. Sure, yes.
Yeah.
But we can also set up a culture and expectation that like it's cool to be safe when we're playing too. Like,
yeah,
it doesn't mean that you're lame or you're whatever, insert expletive, right? Like,
I'm just gonna sit back and let you take all the bullets for this one.
Hey,
I'll go ahead.
Shoot them, folks.
I know.
I'll just be Neo, like.
Yeah. I'm just gonna say Matt's gonna be wearing his equipment when they're being.
I'm like one of the only guys who wear shoulder pads at my pickup because I'm not trying to get hit in the chest and die. Like,
yeah,
you know, my
goal. There are freak ways for it to happen. Let's just also be very.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I literally got hit in the knee and my knee's been sore for 3 days. I played 3 days ago.
Years old.
So, but like, my two goals when I play lacrosse is have fun and don't get hurt. Like, you know, like, so it's, I don't know. I just hate that whole like too cool mentality. See, maybe because I've never been the cool guy ever in my life. So it's like, I just hate that.
More career points. Right?
That's right.
Yeah. So that's
I had a hat trick against Manlius Pella Hill. Let's go.
Yeah.
Come at me, Manlius Pella Hill.
Yeah. 4 career points. I'm jotting this down because every time I'm gonna find a way to reference that.
But
no, but it's a. I know we joke about this.
Well, it's like it's funny because the guys that are giving me a hard time are these guys who like are burner accounts or like don't have a picture on their profile picture. Or
now I really feel attacked because I'm just gonna point this out for people who know my personal Twitter. That picture is not of me. That is of somebody else.
That's funny. But like even like some guy said that they don't prevent the Comio cordis, and I literally went on the lax.com website and the shoulder pads said it helps with Comio cordis.
Right.
Comio however the hell you say it.
Oh,
one guy literally called me fat and ugly. Like it's like, what are we doing, people? Like
I shouldn't have set you up for this because now it's gonna make you launch into a whole thing. It's all I'm gonna say is it's okay to disagree. I'm good with that. We don't need to go to this whole stupid name calling crap just because you don't want your son, and I'll say it this way, and I think kind of the way you're going with this, you don't want your son to see that, and then, Dad, I'm not wearing my shoulder pads because the PLL people, or Dad, I'm not wearing my elbow pads. Or
I mean, look, we just had 2 high school kids die.
I was going to bring it up, but I didn't know if I didn't know.
I'll bring it up. And granted, that was
I know you will.
That's a fluke situation where they happen to get hit, like
the
in
back
the neck,
of the head. Yeah,
back of the head. Like
reading the article as you were rereading the article as you were talking about it.
You know, and like everybody wants to come out and support those families and donate to the GoFundMe's and all this kind of stuff. But then like no one wants to talk
There was
about
the
like
one I was gonna say I can't think of it. The college one. It was a freak one, but it was in the middle of the heartbeat. I can't think of who it was. Or can't think of what school.
But like that's the thing though, is like the timing has to be so precise for the DeMar Hamlin situation, right? Like so it's such a fluke thing. And even the situations of those 2 high school kids that passed away, like it was not from a lack of equipment. So I'm not saying that caused the situation, but like if we can do whatever we can to make sure it doesn't happen, like because it could have been in the chest and they didn't have the proper gear on, right? Luckily, that was not the situation, because then that's a whole nother conversation. But when players at a certain level are appearing as if they're not wearing gear, because I now know they are wearing gear. Awesome, great.
Matt has been reached out to by the PLL people, and they have contacted him and said,
"Me and Rabel messaged too." No,
Mike Rabel will message you back. Is all I'm going to say.
But in someone even commented on my thing that like how the PLL could do like feature this information, right, and like make it more known that like okay, this is what the players wear, like and then maybe they get a deal with that equipment company and they sell that gear, like so but like
say if any of those companies want to sponsor us, I'll gladly wear shoulder pads to work and I'll show them off to everybody. That's all.
We'll wear them on the podcast. You never know when you're going to take a stray shot, Dan. We got to be ready to go, even during the pod.
See, you're making a joke, and this is where the people are going to come at you. I know,
but it's so much about perception, right?
Yeah,
and like what's cool and not cool. Because that has such an impact on the lacrosse community and the sport. So it's it just irked me, and people are getting on me, and I've gotten a lot of support from it, but like there's a few people, and they're just dumb burner people that are lax bros that are washed up, that had a career 10 years ago, that are
mad that doesn't know is I am one of those burners just going in there just to stir the
just trolling me.
Never mind. That's not a discussion for this.
The XU Lax pod beef.
That's not a discussion for this. I'm just gonna say I have 4 Twitter accounts. That's all I'm gonna say. So
I have 1, and that's it. Come at me, bros.
Listen, somebody has to run the podcast one. Okay,
that's true. Yep.
Somebody won't get access to it because they'll post all their opinions that get people in trouble, and then
that's funny.
Yeah. So we'll on a positive note, because Matt just wanted I set Matt up for that one. Go watch PLL this weekend.
Yep. And already looking forward to 2026.
And then Joey Spleen is going to send him a message and say, "Great episode, Matt. I'm glad you came to my defense. I'm glad you." I know. In all seriousness, I'm going to effort the father. Is all I'm going to say.
And we should say one more thing too.
See, here he goes.
Shout out class of 2025. Thanks for all your hard work.
Yeah.
A class that saw the lowest of low and able to get back to championship weekend.
I'll just say, if Matt doesn't have a slideshow for next year, I'm going to be very disappointed. So
kudos to you boys. We'll miss you.
In all seriousness,
good luck in all your endeavors.
Thanks to this class for what they created. That's how I'll say it, because they now created. So on that note, as always, go Orange.